Cliff Richard, the legendary British pop star, had everything that fame could offer: looks, popularity, and a dedicated fan base. However, one thing he never found was a wife. For decades, people have wondered why the man who sang about love never shared his life with anyone. At 85, Cliff finally opened up about the pressures of fame, the promises he made to God, and the truth he has carried for over 50 years. Behind the charm, the music, and the faith, there was a man torn between two worlds, the stage and the personal life he never fully embraced. This quiet truth would define his life, a story of sacrifice and solitude that few could understand. His choice was clear, but it came with a price. Loneliness, the storm of fame, Cliff's rise to stardom. Cliff Richard's rise to fame in the late 1950s was swift and overwhelming. At just 18, he went from a shy boy in Hertfordshire to a pop idol symbolizing hope and youth for post-war Britain. Fame hit him like a storm: screaming fans, endless radio plays, and constant media attention. He wasn't just a singer, he was the face of British pop. Yet, despite this overwhelming success, Cliff still lived at home with his parents, where he followed their rules and asked permission to leave the dinner table. His fame was a whirlwind, and he wasn't prepared for the expectations that came with it. Producers wanted him to be clean yet daring, safe yet edgy. Cliff complied, understanding that his survival depended on control and self-preservation. Fame and self-control, the vow Cliff made. As Cliff's fame grew, he quickly realized the importance of maintaining control over his image. In an industry full of scandal and excess, he worked tirelessly to keep his personal life private. He studied his interviews, carefully selected his words, and avoided anything that could cause controversy. While other stars sought the limelight, Cliff kept his distance, understanding that every part of himself he gave away would never return. Those close to him observed that he seemed older than his years, constantly working and rarely resting. He rehearsed until dawn and toured without pause, never allowing fame to interfere with his sense of order and discipline. He made a vow never to let emotions distract him from his purpose. Fame had arrived too soon, and he didn't want to lose himself in it. Love and loneliness, the price of fame. Despite his success, Cliff Richard was never able to fully embrace love. He had relationships, but they never lasted. His first serious relationship, with dancer Delia Wicks, showed him the cost of fame. Delia loved him before he became a star, and for a brief time, they imagined a life together. But Cliff was already engulfed by a machine that never stopped moving. His career took precedence, and his relationship with Delia eventually ended. Years later, Delia's letter to Cliff revealed the pain of loving a man who loved his work more than anything else. She wrote that she couldn't wait for him anymore, a farewell filled with both love and heartbreak. Cliff kept the letter, a quiet reminder of the love he had lost in the pursuit of his career. Faith and discipline. Cliff's view on marriage. By his late 20s, Cliff began speaking openly about his Christian faith. He believed that marriage wasn't just a companionship, it was a sacred promise. He couldn't imagine giving a wife the life she deserved while constantly on the road, performing hundreds of nights a year. He didn't want to divide himself between faith, family, and fame, so he made a vow to live a life of restraint. Marriage wasn't something he took lightly, and he feared that the life he led wouldn't allow him to fulfill such a commitment. To Cliff, love was something sacred, not a public spectacle, and he couldn't bear to make promises he couldn't keep. He chose discipline over passion, and this choice shaped his life in profound ways. Cliff's commitment to faith and purpose. Cliff Richard's commitment to faith remained steadfast throughout his life, and it was this commitment that helped him maintain a sense of purpose amidst the chaos of fame. In 1966, he took a significant step by being baptized, dedicating his life to Christianity. This commitment was not a passing phase, but a lifelong journey that shaped every decision he made. He believed that his music was not just a career, but a way to serve. And this belief gave him clarity in a world that often tempted its stars with excess and indulgence. He didn't see his singleness as a loss, but as a conscious choice to live in accordance with his values. His faith gave him strength and direction, and it was the foundation upon which his entire life was built. The burden of fame. How Cliff handled public scrutiny. As Cliff's fame grew, the scrutiny of his personal life became intense. Every aspect of his life was under the microscope, and the tabloids were relentless in their search for answers. They speculated about his relationships, inventing stories when none existed. Cliff handled this with remarkable grace. Instead of reacting to rumors or engaging with gossip, he chose to remain dignified and composed. He understood that fame invited projection, and that mystery only fueled speculation. He didn't see the need to explain his choices to the public. He believed that his life was his own, and he didn't owe anyone an explanation. When asked about his relationships, he deflected with humor or grace, refusing to let his personal life be reduced to tabloid fodder. Living with restraint. The cost of loneliness. Despite his fame, Cliff Richard's choice to live with restraint came at a cost. While others sought the limelight, he remained private, even when his loneliness grew. As he grew older, he found solace in his faith, his music, and his friendships. But the loneliness was never fully gone. Yet Cliff didn't see this loneliness as a punishment. He saw it as part of the balance he had chosen. He had sacrificed the companionship of marriage for the fulfillment of living a life of purpose and service. He understood that his choice was not one that everyone could understand, but it was the path that he felt was right for him. And despite the loneliness that sometimes crept in, he never regretted the life he had built. Cliff's legacy. Love beyond marriage. Cliff Richard's life is not defined by what he lacked, but by what he achieved. His legacy isn't about a lack of romantic love, but about a deep and enduring love for music, faith, and friendship. He created a different kind of family, a chosen family rooted in shared purpose and love. He found fulfillment in community, not in the traditional expectations of marriage. His friendships were meaningful, his faith unwavering, and his contributions to music and charity profound. Cliff's story is a testament to the idea that love can come in many forms, and that fulfillment doesn't have to be measured by conventional standards. His life proves that devotion to purpose and loyalty can be just as fulfilling as romantic love, and that happiness can be found without following the path most people expect. Cliff Richard at 85, a man who stayed true. At 85, Cliff Richard stands as a symbol of grace, strength, and unwavering conviction. He has lived through decades of fame, speculation, and public scrutiny without losing his sense of self. He never married, but he never lacked love. His love was found in his music, his faith, and his chosen family. He has nothing left to prove, and for the first time, he speaks with quiet acceptance about his choice to never marry. He acknowledges the loneliness that sometimes visits him, but he no longer sees it as a burden. Instead, he sees it as the cost of living a life of purpose, conviction, and faith. Cliff Richard's story is one of peace, one of a man who stayed true to himself in a world that constantly sought to define him.